It's no blood, no foul.
It's no blood, no foul.
It's no blood, no foul. Emotions spill on the court when you proud. To rep your city, New York's the hometown. Playgrounds prepare me for them.
What's going on, everyone? And welcome to the latest edition of the No Blood, No Foul podcast presented by Real GM. I'm your host, as always, Slice. I'm joined by my co-hosts, Coke and Jim, as well as our executive producer, Moo. Also joining us as a special guest tonight is former NBA scout and video coordinator, Travis Hyland. Travis, we really appreciate you taking time to join us tonight, man.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, it was just on a night where the Knicks got flat out smacked as the drought in Denver continues, losing their 13th straight game in the Mile High City, 113-97 to drop to 37-29 for the season. Fans could tell it was going to be a long night early on in this one as the Knicks couldn't get anything going offensively early, and Jokic took advantage of that 85-pound advantage over Noel as he scored 24 in the opening period en route to a 34-12 advantage for Denver after one. The Knicks were only able to get as close as 19 in the second as he went into the half down 21. Derrick Rose led the Knicks with 14, while again, Joker paced the Nuggets with 26. The Knicks tried to come back a bit in the third, but couldn't get it any closer than 16, while the Nuggets went up into the fourth quarter up 20 points, 89-69. And again, the Knicks never really threatened outside of some garbage buckets in the fourth on the way to that 16-point loss. The Knicks just got beat by one of the NBA's elite teams with one of the league's elite players. Austin Rivers got his little revenge game against us. Knicks can't win them all, right, guys? The law of averages were against us, winning, I think it was 12 out of the last 13 games. It was just sad to see it wasn't a competitive game, which has been a rarity for the Knicks this season. I don't really have much more else to say after this one, man. Cope, give us your thoughts.
Well, this thing was just a nightmare from the start. And, you could just tell it wasn't going to bode well for us, right from the outset. The refs set the turn early. They established that we weren't going to be able to play that, that rugged, physical defensive style that has been successful throughout this whole winning stretch. Right away within the first minute, they called, 3 ticky-tack fouls, and then Tibbs got a tech after that. Guys were frustrated, and I just feel like the team didn't recover mentally after that terrible first quarter. Down 20 after one, you're in a hell of a hole, and it's tough to fight your way out of something like that. And, the Knicks, they tried to have a couple of runs in the second quarter, third quarter, early on in the fourth. But it just seemed like whenever they got something going, that Denver team, they just had an answer. And, like Slice said, we ran into the buzzsaw that was MVP Jokic and also, revenge Austin Rivers. And, he was feeling himself. He got into a little bit of a drawing match where, Julius Randle late in the fourth, being former teammates. I would love to know what that exchange was about. But, it just wasn't our night. And I call games like this just a throwaway game. And, just move on. Not much you can take from it. Turn the page and you hope that, they have something, to show up and put forth a better outing against the Phoenix Suns on Friday. Jim, give me your thoughts, man.
Both teams played hard. No, I guess no one got my Marshawn Lynch joke. But the one thing I took away from this game is that we did outscore the Nuggets the second, third, and fourth quarters. So if there's any silver lining in a game that we got completely blown out on, maybe it's that. Austin Rivers was talking like a ton of smack. Like, I don't know if you noticed too, like in the third quarter, like you heard like kind of RJ and somebody going back and forth with one another. And I'm pretty sure that was Austin Rivers again too. So like he definitely had some animosity and he was like a little angry tonight for sure. Jokic just showed why he was the runaway MVP. He just like bully balled everybody. I don't think he took a 3-point shot until like the third or fourth quarter. Like it was really close to the end of the game when he finally put up one because he just like was getting anything he wanted. He had like multiple dunks in like half court sets, and it's like he's not Shaq by any means, but he just like bodied really everybody. Really, really ugly. I'm glad that we were able to play competitive the rest of the game, kind of, but like. We didn't even really make a run. Like I know there was a couple times that we like kind of like got the game under 20 points. I know we ended up only losing by 16, but yeah, like it just felt like we definitely didn't belong. Like
Hey Jim. So you talked about the dunks. Do you want to know a fun fact?
Sure.
Nikola Jokic has 115 dunks in his career. 5 of them came tonight. That's 4.3% of his total dunks over how many years has he been in the league?
That's a lot of dunks tonight. So that just shows how embarrassing our interior defense was. Like, just a complete joke. I think we also got out rebounded by like 20 rebounds too. So it was just like a whole complete mess. Honestly, just like hopefully we just push this out of our heads and we move on to Phoenix. Moo, on to you.
Yeah, I mean, I've told you guys that my blood pressure has been really low for the stretch. Tonight's the first night, early in the first. I was like, whoa, I could feel the pressure rising. It might have been me that they're playing mile high, right? I felt like I was playing there. They just had no energy. And when if it's the climate, then okay. But what happens is if you don't have the energy, then you got guys like Peyton and Noel. If they don't bring energy, they're kind of useless on the floor, right? I had mentioned this. I mean, we talked about this. It's like the Knicks playing 3-on-5 when they have the ball. Teams are just letting Peyton and Noel do whatever they want, and which is really nothing, right? Because they're really not offensively skilled, and then it allows them to focus more on the usual suspects. And if this whole season, to really appreciate Julius Randle is realizing that he starts every game with basically 2 offensive zeros with him, right? And no point guard. So the fact that he can do what he's done is amazing. Tonight he was off, but it's just the overall really bad game for the Knicks. I don't think there was any positives out of this game other than, they and the final score was closer than it was, right? And I think they lost by 21, 22. But you move on, right? It's just one game. This team hopefully can move on. Denver got spanked tonight. I mean, not Denver. Phoenix got spanked tonight, right? So it could be a good sign, could be a bad sign. I don't know. We'll see. I think the positive is, if this were the Knicks teams of the past, 7-8 years, they'll probably take this loss and roll it over to the next game and lose that as well. But we've seen that this team bounces back, so I'm still positive for the next game. That's pretty much all I have to say. Get rid of Alfred, please, for the love of Pete Maravich. Something they need to do something. But yeah, that's my take. Travis.
Yeah, this game, from a scout's perspective, is a total outlier. It's an anomaly. It's a clunker. You throw this film out. There are 2 coaches, usually Tibbs and Spo, who value game film and all that stuff, but this will be a game where you throw out and you move on because you have 6 games left and you have a hard stretch. You focus on the next 6. So there weren't a whole lot of positives from this game, other than you kept it close the second, third, and fourth quarter. So you're just going to move on and you're not going to dwell on this game at all. A lot of coaches say you can't win a game in the first quarter, but you can lose it. And that is basically what they did tonight. The Knicks, their staple is their defense. All their ranks are defensively in the top 5. That is their calling card. And, to only score 12 points and give up 34, that really hurt them. And they were in a hole that they were never able to dig up out of. I believe this is the first time this year where they were trailing from wire to wire. So again, this Knicks, they've proven to be resilient. They haven't had many bad losses this whole year. So I'm not going to stress or panic after this game. I'm now going to throw this away. And my focus is now definitely on these 3 games remaining on this trip and focus on Phoenix, who had a bad loss tonight also.
Yeah, I think those are pretty good points that you brought up, Travis, right? This is the kind of game film you kind of throw away. There's really no need to look at it because like we've kind of mentioned, this is an outlier. The Knicks haven't really gotten spanked like this, almost all season, or it's been about, I want to say about almost 3 months I can probably think of since the Knicks have really had a bad game. So like you said, kind of
we haven't had a double-digit loss in 18 games. So it's been a real long while since anything.
It's been a while, and
since we've had a really bad game, like a long time.
Yeah, so that's why it's not really one that Knicks fans should kind of dwell over. This has been a team that's consistently played well this year, and I think this is a team that's going to be able to bounce back pretty quickly. I don't really have much of an appetite to give you guys a slice out the box tonight, but it's kind of already been brought out. We got killed down low. We got killed in the paint, 64-42 rebound advantage for Denver. They tripled us on the offensive glass, 18-6. And the 15 total turnovers. We were talking about it a little bit the last few games. The Knicks have done a great job, controlling the basketball, playing smart. Today, they just didn't have the energy. And Travis, you really said it best. You can't win a game in the first. You could definitely lose it. And that's essentially what happened there. Jokic outscored Jokic doubled the Knicks' point output by himself in that first quarter. After that, it was going to be a really hard time to climb up. I thought if the Knicks could get it to halftime to like 15, they might have a fighting chance. We just weren't able to get it close. It was just one of those games. Chalk it up, move on, and look forward to Phoenix. I really don't have much more else to say on this game, guys.
Yeah, speaking to the point of, just getting beat up inside and losing the battle of the boards and having Jokic just destroy us, I feel like this is the first game that we truly miss Mitch. You can't have Noel, a guy who's that skinny, defending a burly guy like Jokic. And then on top of it, he's extremely skilled. He has elite footwork. He has a high release point on his not only his jumper, but also on his layups and on his little floater. So he's not easy to block the way Noel is blocking these smaller players. Noel is really a weak side shot blocker when it's a one-on-one matchup. If he's going to win that and get the block, it's going to be just because of his length. But when a guy is as thick and as burly as Jokic is, that length kind of gets neutralized. So I feel like this is the first game we could have used Mitch, a player who, he doesn't have as much girth himself, but he stands his ground a little bit more, and he has elite length with those long arms. And I feel like he could have contested Jokic a little more. And as far as Tibbs, it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback. And, of course, Pell is, really a fourth string big. But I would have liked to throw him out there earlier just because he's a bigger body, use up some fouls. Maybe make a statement, let Jokic know that you're going to be physical, even if, the refs call it at that point. I'd rather have him in foul trouble than Taj or, RJ picking up those quick chippies, due to switching over and things like that. But, like you guys said, this is just a throwaway game. Hopefully we head out to Phoenix, clear our head, and we come back and bring our A game for that one.
It's kind of wild because, I feel like we never really lost our tempers like we did tonight. Like tonight, we were getting teed up all over the floor. We were yelling, Julius was yelling at the refs. I mean, I don't even know what happened. Next thing I know, going into the fourth quarter, that they were shooting a technical free throw. I guess RJ got a T too. Just from the beginning of the game, we just completely lost composure, and that's very unlike us. And I wonder if that's going to involve a lot more film tomorrow or on our way to Phoenix because. Just such an outlier. It's kind of remarkable about how different this game was compared to the majority of the season.
Hey, so let me just butt in here with a question real quick. To Coke's point, he said it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback, whatever, nitpick some of the decisions made. But I'm gonna ask you guys this, and Travis, you can take this one first. What do you guys think about us trying some small ball Randall at the 5? Do you think that might have worked a little bit better against Jokic, or do you think that would have just been as big of a mismatch?
Yeah, I think that was probably that would have been as big of a mismatch. I think that was clearly what affected them in the first quarter was transition. We were matching up, and they found that matchup and that early post up consistently. And I think that was, with us running back, trying to match up with different people was a challenge from the very first quarter. And then, their MVP, Jokic, he dominated. And I don't think the small ball would have made that much of a difference the way they came out. They played with the urgency that they want to come in third place in the West, and you don't see this very often, they played with more hustle and outworked a New York Knicks or a Thibodeau team, which rarely happens. So whether it's the scheduling, whether it was the travel, whether it was the altitude, whatever it was. Again, through a long NBA season, there's always a clunker here or there. So you dismiss it, you move on to Phoenix. Matchups, I thought, was a challenge from the get-go. And with Barrett getting those fouls early and the technical, our advantage going into the game was their top 4 guards were out. So I thought our depth and having Barrett be able to go against, their rotation players was going to be a benefit to us. And with his quick fouls and the technical, that almost negated the benefit we had going into the game.
Yeah, definitely. I got to echo Travis's point to Kyle's question. I don't think it would have mattered this game. This isn't really a matchup or a team where you want to go small against anyway. Jokic would have just overpowered Randall the way, even though Randall's a stronger guy, just the height is there, the talent down there too. It's just too much of a difference where this wouldn't have been the game to play small ball. I think one of the things that kind of killed the Knicks tonight and why they were a little bit low energy, right? We started the West Coast swing Sunday and Monday with a back-to-back that we won. You only get a day off, then you face an elite Houston team. We only get one more day off again between games for the rest of this West Coast swing. You got a day off Friday against Phoenix, day off Sunday against the Clippers, and a day off Tuesday against the Lakers. It's going to be tough and with the rest. So it might be kind of a blessing in disguise that the Knicks got spanked, got their blowout loss out the way. Randall got some rest. I don't think anybody played over 30 minutes. I think 30 minutes was the max for everybody on the team, which has been rare. You get the rest, try to relax, take advantage of the day off, and come back strong for that revenge game in Phoenix.
And speaking just to matchups, like I don't really think we match up well with this team, even with the guys that they had out. I mean, you saw it right from the opening tip-off. I mean, RJ was getting stuck on Aaron Gordon, who's really not a 3. And he was just muscling him inside, and that's why he got those 2 quick fouls. He's just not strong enough to hold position against that guy. And then we already spoke about Jokic and Noel. And then, even look at the guard spot. Campazzo was just running circles around these guys, frustrating the hell out of me. I was like, the ball player in me was kicking, and I was like, man, I would want to get in this guy's shirt, give him a couple of hard fouls and match his energy. And we didn't do that. We had Peyton switching off because RJ was in foul trouble, so he couldn't guard him. And then whoever was guarding Campazzo was just letting him run around like a chicken with his head cut off. He was just getting steals, deflections all over the place offensively. We just like Travis said, we got out hustled. I think Malone, prepared that team. They had a sense of urgency for sure. And I think they wanted to come out and set the tone and punch us in the mouth and see how we responded. And that's what happened.
I just don't think we had a very good game plan against Jokic. I think that, usually Tibbs is the smartest guy on the court, and he usually always has these great game plans for these types of guys. But, he didn't really want to, send those types of double teams at Jokic.
Yeah, no doubles.
No doubles, because how can you double off Jokic? I mean, you saw some of the passes he made tonight. He didn't even have, a ton of assists, but they were beautiful. They were, way better passes than anyone on our team could make. I mean, he's one of the best passers in the league as a big. So it's how do you really game plan against that? And we just didn't have a plan. And when you let Jokic go one-on-one with Noel, those 85 pounds clearly made a difference. He just was able to do whatever he wants. Every big pretty much bounced off of him for an easy layup. That's it. You got a trap or something at that point, and hopefully let the rest of his team beat him, because he just went off.
Yeah, I mean, the Knicks really didn't have an answer for Jokic. I think even Jokic took it kind of personal this game, I guess, to maybe to make a statement, right? The guys said that, that it may be a sign that he's trying to make a statement because Randall's also being talked about as MVP and he gets the MVP chance. So Jokic definitely stepped up. I haven't watched him all that much, to be honest, and he was really impressive for a guy his size. And he's not the most athletic guy, right? But he's just really smooth. He basically pulled out the whole bag of tricks and, did whatever he wanted tonight. And it kind of goes back. I know you guys probably talked about it, but yeah, I mean, the Knicks' size, it's a problem. And I think, we're seeing teams, the top teams, their bigs are not small, right? And for the Knicks to play kind of a slow pace, I think they're still the slowest paced team in the NBA. That's a problem. I mean, if you're a team that, runs up and down the floor and can, force the bigs to really, like periodically be out of position. That's one thing. But the Knicks' pace, results in the opposing bigs having plenty of opportunity just to camp down in the paint, right near the paint. And anytime any Knick tries to drive, the big is right there blocking, right? We see this over and over again. And I think that's a part, a problem offensively. Defensively, Noel is a great shot blocker. I'm not doubting that. And he plays excellent team defense. But his lack of size and post intimidation, I think, is going to be a consistent problem. And we saw that tonight, I think, quite a bit. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think, I don't, I'm at a point where I don't know what else to say. I mean, like Travis said, this is a write-off game, and you kind of just get it out of your mind, right, and you move on. But yeah, it was a struggle to watch.
So then going off that point, if the standings stay as they are, if we beat the 5th seed in the playoffs, if we make it to the playoffs and beat the 5th seed, we would face the 1 seed who's currently the Sixers. So I'm going to choose Travis first. Do you think that, looking at this game, do you think that looks like a bad matchup for us in the second round?
Playing Philly?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, their strength is Embiid, and then they have Harris and Simmons. So that's a matchup dilemma. You can have, Bullock play Harris, and then sag off Simmons, and hopefully he's just a playmaker and not a creator and a scorer. I mean, I think obviously the Knicks have overachieved. They've had a phenomenal season. Their goal right now is to stay out of the play-in series. They need to stay in the top 6. With their schedule and their games, they have 29 losses. Atlanta has 31. Miami has 31. Boston has 31. So it's going to come down to the end and how they play in the stretch. I wasn't even thinking second round. I sat here and I tried analyzing who the first round matchup might be. I love the optimism, but yeah, I think Philly would be an extreme challenge moving forward if they advance to the second round.
Who do you think is the best matchup for this team?
Atlanta. I think the 4-5. If the seeds stay here, they would be. They'll never admit it. You never want to say who you want to play, but I would say Atlanta. I mean, I know they've played great down the stretch, and they're, since the coaching change, that's really had an effect on them, and now Bogdanovich and stuff. But I think the matchup, and that's when the playoffs, when you play in a team 5 nights in a row, everything about them. And then especially with this staff in New York, phenomenal. They're going to have them prepared. They'll know what time they go to bed and what their favorite shows are. I mean, it's impressive the amount of depth and research that they will do. So they would prefer Atlanta. They want to stay away from Miami. They're 0-3 this year. Again, they have Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. Very difficult matchup. And matchups are going to determine, your pace and your outcome in the playoffs. So they're going to root for Atlanta. They're going to hope to avoid Miami. Again, I think, Boston, they're 3-1 against them this year. They've had good success with them. They are Jekyll and Hyde. So, again, who does Bullock guard? Does he guard Tatum or Brown? And then that's whoever he's not guarding, that's a concern for the Knicks matching up in the playoffs. No one wants to play Brooklyn, but they're not healthy. It'd be phenomenal for ratings and for the city, and they played them really tight, and those games have come down to the wires. I don't think they fear Brooklyn, so they wouldn't mind playing them either. And then the adrenaline and all that stuff with that matchup. So they want to avoid Miami, and I think if the seeding falls right, they'd love to play Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta really doesn't scare me. They don't have any bigs to hurt us, and like we've been discussing, that's really our weak spot, especially if Mitch doesn't make it back for the playoffs. So, and even their power forward, you know, John Collins, I mean, Julius Randle just owns him. Kyle, if you can pull the numbers up when they match up and throw that out there whenever you get it, but he can't guard Julius Randle one-on-one. So that's a favorable matchup for sure. We spoke about this on a podcast previously. Some guys want to see Boston. I'm a little more nervous about Boston just because I said before I'm a little worried about playmakers, and Kemba would return for that series. Then you got you still got Tatum to deal with, and on the perimeter, those are going to be two tough covers. So guys who can create their own shot in space. Our strength defensively isn't really defending guys on an island. It's kind of like funneling them, to the help defense, which is Noel. So, that Boston matchup could go either way. So, me personally, I prefer Atlanta for, getting a W and for nostalgia. I do like the Miami matchup just because it'll bring back those, those old days of the Knicks versus the Heat. And I would like to see RJ, baptized by fire going up against Jimmy Butler and Julius Randle dealing with Bam. Although we might not, be the favorite to win that series if it went that way, it's just it'll get my blood pumping pretty good.
All right, so I pulled up stats. So here it is. So in 15 minutes that Julius has been matched up with John Collins, right? He's 12 of 20 from the field, 5 of 7 from 3, only got fouled once. But here's the key. In those 15 minutes, the Knicks have scored 94 points.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's ownership, man.
Well, I did see a stat where Randall has the third most assists for 3-point field goals made. So he is very comfortable with his ISOs, his one-on-ones, his post-ups, and then kicking it out. And in April, the Knicks have shot the three very well. And I think he's third overall in the entire NBA as far as his assists going for 3-point field goals made.
That's that Randall to Bullock connection. They've built some good chemistry.
Yeah, there was definitely a moment in, I think, the fourth quarter where Randall kind of like reverted to old Randall, where he was like triple teamed and he like missed the guy in the corner. I don't remember if it was Burks or Bullock off the top of my head, but every once in a while you'll see that kind of like him like wanting to force the ball or make like a bad possession, kind of like that, where he misses a shot or misses a pass. Excuse me.
I mean, I think the Nuggets played pretty good defense. I don't know if Kyle, are they statistically, are they a good defensive team?
I don't think so.
Because tonight they played pretty solid, especially Randall. They didn't give him any looks. They collapsed right quickly.
Yeah, I feel like what's his name? Millsap and Gordon are both pretty solid defenders.
Right.
And like Gordon's like super strong, so kind of like muscled RJ out of the way. And then Millsap is Millsap, even though he's an old man now. Didn't really give either of those guys like anywhere to breathe.
The Nuggets are 11th overall in defensive rating.
Okay.
Not bad.
It's a little better than I thought they would be. But, I mean, that starting lineup, though, if you look at it, after Campazzo, I think everybody else is 6'10" on the floor. Like, MPJ played the shooting guard, technically, I guess, and you had Gordon, Millsap, and Jokic. That's a tall team. It's kind of similar to the length and the height that Milwaukee has, another team that Randall struggles against. Now, obviously, apples to oranges comparing the defensive, rating, I'm sure, of the Bucks, and the Nuggets. But just similar in terms of the length is the kind of teams that bother Julius Randle. And I know some people kind of brought it up. My buddy texted me as well saying, Julius is kind of reverting back to old Julius. But that's more when he gets frustrated. And the Knicks were really just frustrated tonight. So I don't think it's really a trend to look forward to. Travis pointed it out. Julius has done a really great job of getting to three-pointers, and RJ's emergence as a reliable three-point threat has helped that, in addition to having that sniper and Bullock and Burks out there as well. So I'm not really, digging too deep into it. Obviously, it's something to look forward to depending on matchups, but just that length. I was very surprised that Denver played that starting lineup, and I guess it works well for them.
So here's another thing though. Since they traded for Aaron Gordon, they are top 5 in defensive rating.
Okay. So he hasn't been shooting well at all, but yeah, I guess he's really brought them to another level defensively.
Well, that's the thing. They don't need him to shoot. With Jokic being able to pass like he does, I think it was a good fit.
And Michael Porter Jr. he's wet from outside for sure. He's another one that's a bummer that we got.
Nick should have picked him instead of him.
Yeah,
we picked Knox over this guy. I mean, I know he had the back issue, and everyone had question marks about if he will recover, but you just gotta go talent there, man. You just gotta take the risk.
Apparently, the doctors were saying that he was never going to play. So, like, I feel like I remember hearing that from like one of like the Clippers team execs, because they were like, "You had the opportunity to grab Shea and Michael Porter Jr." And it's like, how do you miss that with Jerry West involved? And like, I think that like his medicals were like actually like really, really bad. So it wasn't just like like we just missed on him for no good reason, but.
So what I always say is I don't mind that we passed on Michael Porter Jr. I mind that we passed on him for Kevin Knox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyle and his one-liners, man.
Well, it's the same thing. Same thing. It's like when we missed on Curry because Steph got picked beforehand. If you draft DeMar DeRozan, it's like it makes that blow like way less. It's like at least you got an all-star. It's like instead you end up with Jordan Hill. And it's like that's a lot rougher to come back from. That's what makes it so painful about Frank and Knox. It's just like 2 stars fell after Knox into the teens, and then you worked out Donovan Mitchell, and you weren't like this guy is better than Frank Ntilikina.
Well, speaking of Denver, when you're a good team, right, it kind of positions you to take a bigger gamble in a draft, and I think the Nuggets capitalized on that. They were already starting their ascend at that point. So if they're going to roll the dice, they're going to do that on MPJ. And the same thing with look at Bol Bol. I mean, this is a guy who was a high upside pick. Everyone was scared of his medicals as well. And, they got him on their ledger, and he's, just a luxury to have if he pans out. And if, they open up a rotation spot, then great. If not, then, they're still going to be a winning team regardless. So the hope is maybe the Knicks will be in that position this time around.
Just swing for the fence. Yeah.
Yeah, we're a better team. If some guy's falling and, there's some kind of red flag, maybe we just, we take the gamble. So that's the benefit of winning.
Take Boston.
Oh, so I guess on who I want to face in the first round. Definitely Atlanta, Boston are clearly the ones that I'd really want to face in the first round. I think we really match up well against Boston. I think RJ's biggest struggles defensively are like chasing people off screens. So like I think he can be pretty solid in isolation, not like great, like unless you're like super duper shifty. So it's like I think you can put him on Brown and be like fairly certain that he's going to do okay. He's not going to dominate that matchup defensively, but I think he'd be okay. Then I think Bullock can do enough to bother Tatum. And then also if and when we make it to the second round, I think 76ers are probably our best matchup out of the big top 3 teams in the East. I think you could bother Embiid enough to like taking more outside jump shots as opposed to dominating the post if you kind of like send the right sorts of double teams, and like having Simmons out there, is like a major benefit into that trying to like trap Embiid game. And I just don't like our chances really against Milwaukee or Brooklyn. So it's like I think our best bet is 76ers if that's going to happen.
Harris kills us though, man. Like he looks huge going against our power forwards, even against Randall. I mean, he's towering over the dude. He's skilled. He can shoot. I think that's a bad matchup. Like Embiid is there, Jokic. Then they got Ben Simmons, who's like the best defender, one-on-one in the NBA. And then you got Harris doing his thing. I don't want to be honest, all 3 of those top teams scare me, but I take my chances with the Nets because at least they don't play elite defense.
Yeah, I just don't think that Embiid has enough of that playmaking where it's like I think you're more scared to send a double at Jokic than you are at Embiid. And Embiid's like a good playmaker for a big. Don't get me wrong. I'm like not even trying to like undersell it. But like I think if you're going to trap somebody that's in the post, like I'd rather Embiid than Jokic. And I guess that's probably not like there's not that big of a gap between them, but yeah.
Those are the 2 best centers in the league right now, I think. So at that point, it's kind of similar right there. MP brought it up in the chat there. And, how we played against Jokic and what Jokic was able to do to us, Embiid would be able to do the same. Obviously you don't want to face the top 3 teams. I have to agree with Coke and Travis said it as well. The Knicks get up for Brooklyn. Brooklyn doesn't have that elite defense, so it's somebody that maybe the Knicks can match up a little bit better. In the first round, I've said it before, plenty of podcasts, and I'm glad I've expert opinion and Travis will bring it up. The Heat are the one team I don't want to play in the first round early on. While it's good for nostalgia purposes, it's a team that we're going to struggle against, and I want the Knicks to go to the second round. Just to kind of keep the positivity going, keep the growth going. I think obviously Atlanta's our best matchup. Boston presents some challenges. They've been Jekyll and Hyde this year. And I think those are really the most realistic options there. Realistically, the Knicks will fall between 4 and 6. I'm hoping the team can play well for the 4th seed. But yeah, Moo, I don't know if you got to change it up from that, or who's kind of your matchups you want to see?
No, I think I agree with you guys. I think the Hawks and the Boss and the Celtics. I'm not so worried about Tatum. I know he's an excellent offensive player, but I think he's the type of player the Knicks can handle. He's not someone that's going to put the ball on floor line, create for himself and others, and get into the lane and do all of that stuff, right? And those are the types of guys that give the Knicks problems, or really talented offensive bigs. Boston really doesn't have that. So I think Boston actually might be a slightly better matchup for the Knicks than the Hawks. But yeah, definitely I agree with you guys. It's the Hawks and the Celtics. Everyone else, hopefully they avoid. Second round, honestly, I still think in a long series, they're going to have problems beating Brooklyn. That's just my take. I don't think any of the teams are going to be easy. I might actually want to take my chance with the Bucks.
We have a way better bench than them. So it's if you can have our bench dominate their bench for long enough of a time, I can see why you would want that matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Giannis, he's talented, right? But I think you can bother him and throw him off his game.
Tips can easily game plan against
the
them.
Wall up.
Yeah, just wall up.
Yep.
Wall up and pray that they're not hot from 3. That's been the strategy in the playoffs against them.
Right, and pray the Knicks are, right? So
yeah.
That's going to be the big thing right there. But
try to let Dante DiVincenzo beat you, let him shoot.
Yeah, I mean, they added Drew Holiday, along with Chris Middleton, so they got some talent there. But that really offensively, matching up against them, our defense can kind of play a little bit better. They have a little bit more weaknesses compared to Brooklyn and Philly there. But let's try to look at some good news for tonight. We saw Campazzo. He's Argentinian. The Knicks signed our own Argentinian officially. We talked about him a little bit. Luca Vildoza, 4-year deals, only 1 year guaranteed. So the Knicks get to take a look at him, over the summer in the Olympics for the Argentinian national team. Travis, I'll kick it to you. I'm not sure if you had any experience on him or any thoughts on Luca Vildoza at all. Try to get some positivity in a night where the Knicks just got smacked a little bit.
Yeah, I think it breeds optimism. I'm not familiar with his game precisely, but I think it addresses a need. Derrick Rose has been phenomenal since he's come over, but having it addresses a need. So I think overall it's beneficial, and I haven't seen any tapes or anything specifically on him, so I can't comment that much on him.
What I like about Bill, who's that?
A young Facundo Campazzo.
Really,
he has a lot more size though. That's what I like about him. Campazzo's a little, he's like a little runt running around out there. But when I look the limited film that I see on Vildoza, he looks like he's a creative player. He plays with some flair. I like his ability to pass. He's definitely not afraid to show some pizzazz. He can shoot the ball a little bit. The release seems a little slow, but looking at his stats over there in the EuroLeague, he seems to be a decent scorer at all 3 levels. We got to see, if he can do those things against NBA length and quickness, but, it seems promising. But I think the biggest thing is I got to give a shout out to Brock Aller, because this is a typical move, that he likes to make. He got the guy on a 1-year guaranteed deal. And I think you guys said that year is this year. So it's kind of, a free shot for next year. And if it works out, you got him locked in for 3 more. So I'm assuming team options, So, no downside to this move. We definitely need somebody who has, playmaking ability, passes that are done creatively, kind of that LaMelo Ball kind of flair. He seems to have that. And just, hope for the best. Shot in the dark, and, you take the gamble and hopefully it works out.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead, John.
So the thing that I love the most about this deal is apparently we were $2.5 million under the salary cap. So instead of like just having to give that money away, that's the money that we used to sign him this year. So it's like instead of just having to like lose that cap and like pay it to the league, we signed a guy, and now we're gonna like steal his rights because apparently a lot of the NBA experts like Woj and them were saying that he was going to be an option for this summer for a lot of NBA teams because obviously this is kind of a shallow draft class. So it just shows the the competency of our front office, which is like, very rare in these past 20 years to make competent moves like this. But I've watched like a bunch of like highlight film, and he looks NBA quick. I don't know how he's going to finish against NBA length, but the jumper looks good. He can shoot off the bounce. I think he can be like a Campazzo type guy, or like give you like a little bit of what Pablo Prigioni gave us like all those years ago. I don't think that should really change our free agency plans by any means, but I think it's a good idea to bring in somebody else that can create a little bit. And hopefully, he looks like an NBA player, and we can rope him in on a cheap deal for the next 3 years.
I think they basically signed him for 3 non-guaranteed seasons, right? Essentially team options, right? I think they have until at some point next season to either decline the contract or make it official. So they do have a bit of time, Olympics, summer league, to see what he can do. It's no harm, right? Like Jim said, the money was going to go anyway. So the only thing they guaranteed him was money that was going to disappear. So, definitely a good move on Brock Allah's part. But definitely we need more moves this offseason.
The only unhappy people might be the players, because I don't know if you guys know, if you don't spend that money, it gets distributed evenly throughout everyone on the roster. So
he won't be on the team.
Oh, really? Okay.
So apparently, he might be buying a bunch of team dinners if he shows up.
Well, he won't actually show up, right? He's got to clear immigration.
He's a week. I was reading on Twitter. He's just a week. He's already in the U.S. He's just got to sit for a week, and then he'll be able to join the team. So after the West Coast swing there, but I think we're only $2 million off and stuff like that. So even distributed amongst 10 players, it wasn't going to be too much for those guys. But like you said, probably some dinners owed when he gets to New York. But before we look forward to the next game, Coke, I'm gonna swing it to you real quick. Let's get your Alfred Payton of the Night award winner.
Well, it was a little tough one tonight because whenever you get beat down like this, you can't really pick out a scrub or any other squad. I was tempted to go with Aaron Gordon. He had 0 points in 22 minutes. He was 0 for 6 from the field, but I still got to tip my hat to him because, they kind of owed him, getting that edge to start the game by getting RJ in foul trouble. He set the tone. So I'm not going to go him. I'm going to go outside the box. And as usual, I'm not going to go with a Nick. So the scrub of the night goes to the unnamed lady ref who set the tone with all the bad calls against us, the quick fouls, the blown call out of bounds on the sideline where Julius Randle confronted her and she says, "My bad, Julius," but still gave him a tech anyway. So scrub of the night goes to the lady ref. I'll have to research your name tomorrow morning.
I'm gonna power through the sexism right here, and I feel like all the lady refs are bad.
You're gonna get us in trouble, man.
We're gonna be censored. That'll be it. Last show.
That's just the Jim hot take. That's just the Jim hot take. He does not represent everybody else on his podcast with that. Let me clear your name.
Jim will be the only one censored.
My opinions are my own.
But Travis, we'll kick it over to you, man. Normally, it's tough. You could pick a Nick or you could pick a Nugget. Who's your scrub of the night from what you saw tonight?
Well, the obvious choice, I think, I would choose would be RJ Barrett in the first half. But I'm not just going to lump it all on him. I'm just going to throw the whole defense in there. So the whole first half, giving up 64 points in the first half, that's extreme for the Knicks, So, again, this was an outlier performance. I'm just going to say their whole defense, whether it's transition, whether it's matching up, in transition, double teaming quicker, whatever the game plan was. I'm just going to say the defense, the whole first half was lacking and, dug too much of a hole for us to come out of in the second half.
That's definitely true. Yeah. And it's rare that we've seen the defense really be, a negative for the team this season just based on the Tibbs coaching squad. But yeah, fair enough for this game to really put it on the defense. Now, let's look a little bit forward, right? We get the Phoenix Suns who broke the winning streak we recently had. So kind of a revenge game there. 3 more games left on this West Coast swing and 3 games back at the Garden against I think the Spurs, Hornets, and the Celtics. So, a tough stretch for the Knicks right here. Some key matchups coming up. Colt, I'll kick it off to you first, man. What are your thoughts and predictions for Phoenix and the rest of this West Coast swing?
I've been real positive about this team, especially during this stretch. So I haven't called no losses. I didn't want to jinx nothing, but coming off of this game, I know this team has showed, resiliency. And usually whenever there's a bad outing, you can, basically count on a big game, the next one from Julius Randle and the team, as a whole. But I'm going to go with a loss against Phoenix. I just think, that team, Chris Paul, man, look what happened last time. Down the stretch, dude made 3 killer shots, and that whole team takes on the mentality of Chris Paul. I'm not going to bet against CP3 at home, so I'm going Knicks L. They're going to lose 2 in a row, but then I'm going to take it further. To close out the trip, they're going to win both LA games, and we're going to go with that split and end up 6-2. I mean, sorry, 4-2 out of the 6 games. So that's my call. Loss against Phoenix and then winning both of the LA games.
Yeah, I mean, Coke, I might go with you on that. I think Knicks, this is a potential revenge game for them, but the Suns just got blown out tonight, right, by the Hawks. So I think they're going to have a chip on their shoulders too. So it's going to be a very interesting game, I think. I'm hoping that the Knicks keep it close, but yeah, with CP3. And the Suns being the Suns, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a loss. But I'll go with the 2 wins against the 2 LA teams as well. Jim?
Oh, man. This is always my favorite part of the show, making predictions, because I always feel like I'm wrong.
That's why I stopped doing it.
I think I'm going to go with a win. I think that this team has never laid 2 eggs in a row. We very rarely had like a game that I would want to switch off and put on Homeland or something like that. Anything that I'd rather watch. So I think we're going to bounce back. I don't think there's altitude issues in Phoenix. So, and I think that we're going to be angry about what happened last time. And yeah, I'm going to go with a W.
Travis, how about your thoughts?
Yeah, I like the consensus here. I do, from a scouting perspective, just recently playing Phoenix is a benefit. Again, we gave up 62 points to Phoenix in the second half. Again, we gave up 64 here to Denver. Those are high numbers for our Knicks defense, which is the 4th best ranked defense in the whole league. So I think helping that. Then, Chris Paul, he made 3 miraculous shots down the stretch. So I think it's going to be a close game. The Knicks are 16-13 in close games this year. I think Thibodeau is very well prepared. His ATOs and end of game stuff is outstanding. I think it's a close game. I think they're going to win. And I do think both LA teams, LeBron might sit out. He's already claiming he's 50% or whatever. I think he's setting the floor for when his team loses the playoffs. He's just going to say he's not healthy. And then with the Clippers, you don't know who's going to play either. So I think it's a good chance they can win both games in LA also. So maybe it's my optimism, but I think they're going to win the next 3.
I could appreciate the optimism.
I like it.
I have to agree with you. I have to agree with you on the Phoenix prediction. I think the Knicks are going to bounce back. Like you said, it's a benefit. Recently played them out for revenge, even though Phoenix just got smacked by Atlanta tonight. I think the Knicks do come out strong because, like Jim said, the Knicks don't ever really lay 2 eggs in a row. Now, in terms of the LA teams, that's where it gets a little tricky. I think I have to play it with a caveat. If the Clippers, come out fully healthy and Kawhi and Paul George are playing, I don't think we win that game, honestly. If they're out or one is out, then, I'll probably lead the Knicks. I think we beat the Lakers, though. LeBron's not going to be playing. Drummond's not really doing too much anyway. We played him pretty well last time we played the Lakers. And, Anthony Davis has been kind of hit or miss coming back as well. So I think the Knicks go 2-1 to wrap up this stand here, and we go 4-2. I'll take 4-2 for the 6-game road stand. So that's hopefully what happens there. So I'll predict a win against Phoenix. But let's start to wrap it up here, fellas. Cook, I'll swing it to you for your final thoughts first.
Well, I'll keep it short tonight. I just want to say I'm just watching. I want to see the next game and see how they come out. You guys said they don't lay 2 eggs in a row, and it's been a resilient team. So I'm going to be curious to how they bounce back and what they show. Going into Phoenix, are they going to remember that L that they took to CP3 and the Suns? And are they going to want to, have a chip on their shoulder after taking this beat down tonight? So we'll see what happens with that.
I mean, I could say that, maybe they were looking a little bit ahead to the Phoenix game. And aside from the altitude, maybe that caused them to kind of come out really flat. Yeah, I mean, like Coke said, they're resilient. They don't, do what the Knicks teams used to do or that we're used to as Knicks fans. So I think definitely it'll be, they'll bounce back, win or lose. It'll be a bounce back. And, as a Knicks fan who's, suffered through, I've been watching, like I told you guys, I've been watching the Knicks since the mid-'70s. So it's been a lot of bad times. This is a good time. So I'm enjoying it, whether they win or lose, right? They're being competitive and it's fun to watch still. Yeah. So that's, it's the Knicks. It's good Knicks basketball. I'm looking forward to it. Travis.
Yeah, no 2 poor games this year. Definitely has been a trend. They are trending in the right direction. Regardless of what happens in Phoenix, you just want them to avoid the play-in games. Atlanta does have the easiest schedule to end the year, so that will be a little challenge. But our April, they were 11-4 in April. Their turnovers were down, and their 3-point shooting or 3-point efficiency was up. So I think they are trending in the right way. These are going to be great litmus tests for them. They're playing great competition, depending that everyone's fully healthy. But this is a great marker for them going into the playoffs.
Just give me 3 more wins. I want a 40-win season. I don't have a lot to say other than that. I just think 40-32 in a 72-game season is really solid compared to what we were expecting to do. I mean, we were talking top 5 pick, less than 25 wins, this, that, and the other thing. I just want 40. I think that's the goal. That's the magic number there.
Yeah, I mean, we've exceeded expectations, right? The season is already you can classify it as a win. First winning season since 2013. First playoff appearance since 2013. So it's been about 7-8 years since the Knicks have showed us, this kind of team, this kind of success. So we'll take it. Travis, to your point, this is a good litmus test. We're playing some tough competition. People are kind of complaining that we have too hard of a schedule down the stretch, but it's something the team needs to face in order to get prepared for the playoffs. And that game against Boston to end the season is essentially going to be, a play-in game, a seeding game, a playoff game in its own right. So I'm really looking forward to those games to kind of get the test that Knicks need. I don't think we're going to drop too many more eggs, too many more bad games this season. We just ran into an elite team tonight, an off night for the Knicks. And just got smacked by an elite player as well. Jokic is, an MVP caliber player. So you got to take the losses as they come. Unfortunately, we haven't won in Denver since 2006. I think I was still in college back then. So it's been quite a while. So the Knicks got to wait till next year to buck that trend. But
Hey, Slice, you want to guess how old I was at the time?
You weren't even alive. No,
Wow. I'm not that young, man.
Had to mess with you. How old were you, Kyle?
I don't know, like 11, 10.
Wow.
I was gonna say 10. I still thought that was being mean, but yeah, it's been way too long since we've won in Denver, and we're always going to be linked to that team because of the Melo trade. But onwards and upwards up to Phoenix on Friday night. We get a day off. Travis, we really appreciate you taking time to join us tonight, man. It was a pleasure really having you on and talk basketball with you.
I appreciate you having me on. I'll end with a little trivia. Who is the only second rounder who's drafted in the second round to win the MVP? This is an honor. If Jokic wins it this year, he was in the 40s. Who was the only player in the NBA who was drafted in the second round to win MVP?
Willis Reed. Very own Willis Reed.
Very good. He's a New York Knick. Willis Reed.
Captain.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Thanks, Mike Breen.
But That's the Knicks trivia. The Knicks got their own trivia. We got our own trivia tonight, thanks to Travis. No. Appreciate that, man. And we appreciate everybody who was listening and watching along with us tonight. Make sure you hit that thumbs up and give us a like if you like what you heard, as well as subscribing so you can check out our latest videos as soon as they come out. We appreciate you guys. We'll catch you guys Friday night, and we out.
It's no blood, no foul. It's no blood, no foul. Crying for calls, we took your morale. Congratulations till we run that clock out. MSG to Mecca, this is our house. NYC forever when we mob out. See that kick trip, got that clock clout. Till we run that clock out. MSG Mecca, our house. NYC forever, mob out. Kick trip, clock clout, clock clout.